Ad-Hoc for September 10th, 2024. And Mary, would you mind giving an invitation?
Absolutely. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing us all to come together for this very important subject. And wisdom on how we can make things better for our animal population. And we ask and thank you for our citizens for coming tonight to share with us what we're trying to do. And I ask to give us all, provided all of us with safe shelter as we leave tonight and go our way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes from July 9th, that was the last time we met. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Recognition of the public. Is there anybody that wants to speak that hasn't signed up yet? You got time right now if you want to. But we'll start with Jennifer Howard. Just state your name and address for the public comment.
My name is Sumner County. I'm at 2201 Highway 31 East in Dallas. I want to say thank you to our community for showing up today and to the Ad-Hoc committee for every time. Recently, I learned from a post on Sumner County Sheriff's Office Animal Control page that 9 elementary schools were visited, and the story of Biblio burros was read to the children. Along with the reading of the story, they also brought a real burro along with them to all 9 of the locations. This sounds like a wonderful and exciting event for these children. The initiative is a great way to connect our community and should be used as a way to educate children about the importance of animal welfare in a more fitting way for Sumner County Animal Control to be represented. However, I also learned that at the same time, several scheduled appointments for animals at the Animal Control Center to be spayed and neutered were canceled due to staff shortages. Then we learned that 9 elementary schools were visited by Animal Control along with a donkey, maybe so that the line of priorities of Animal Control may be blurred. As the organization responsible for animal control, it is essential that they prioritize the core duties, which include providing necessary care and services to the animals in their care. Furthermore, there has been discussion about expanding this Ad-Hoc committee focused on improving animal control. I would like to emphasize the importance and thankfulness of this committee's role in ensuring that our county animal control services, along with the community's forward thinking and rapid growth, by working together, we can improve communication, foster continuous growth, and make necessary improvements to better serve both the animals and the care of animal control and the community as a whole. Lastly, I believe that the Ad-Hoc committee's efforts, we can strike the right balance between promoting community engagement, like readings at school, but perhaps focusing those readings on humane education about dogs and cats, and providing the necessary services to animals at animal control. This will ultimately allow us to give animals a better chance at finding a loving home at a safe and well-cared-for environment, and a place where families can come to find that dog or cat that they may have learned about at one of Sumner County Animal Control's elementary school districts.
Thank you. David Arlen.
Good evening, all. Thank you again for coming. My name is David Arlen. I live at 231 Chipaway Drive. And tonight, besides speaking for myself, I am also speaking on behalf of Kathy Arlen, my lovely wife, who, fortunately for me, also lives on 231 Chipaway Drive. She regrets that she could not be here tonight, but duty calls. Toyota says she has to attend a dealer's meeting in Las Vegas. So she left this one at 3:30, and I gave her some extra shirts in case she loses one at the table. That way she can come home without incident. information that we would like to share with you and see what we can do to improve things is as such. As we move into the fall, we want the Ad-Hoc committee to know that we truly appreciate the continued efforts to improve Sumner County animal control. Our goal was and remains to bring Sumner County animal control into a new era of animal control that embraces current animal sheltering protocols and results in a better outcome for the animals and true transparency of the operations. We want the committee to be aware of several things that have surfaced recently. First, the intake page link on the Sumner County Animal Control Facebook page does not function, and multiple browsers have tried. Next, animals still not being fixed before adoption. Next, one example of a dog posted on Facebook by the adopter showed a clearly unaltered meadow. Next, one example of a bully-type male dog on Facebook, which stated that the dog was not fixed. This post was edited once people started asking questions, and they deleted the reference entirely. Bully breeds should never be adopted unaltered. Next, a dog was lost from animal control on Saturday, September the 6th, and did not reopen until today. The owners thankfully found the dog. Next, on September 9th, an unneutered male bully dog with a head tilt received no veterinary attention until taken into rescue. How long was this dog without veterinary care? Next, a stray puppy with a possible injury was turned away. The finder was told that the pup would be euthanized, so they were referred to a safe place for animals and took it. Next, a cane corso named Cupcake was sent to Sumner Spay Neuter Alliance with an incomplete kennel card. It was taken by rescue, no vaccinations, no dewormer or medical notes on the kennel card. The dog's weight was written on the card when it was noted that the dog was going to Sumner Spay Neuter Alliance. A chip was recorded on this dog with no additional notes about the research of the chip. These are rudimentary requirements in animal sheltering. Next, another dog named Blue surrendered. It's a bully breed, needed veterinary care, and was left without it for several days. The kennel card stated the dog was surrendered on September 3rd, and it was taken by rescue on September the 6th. Again, no notes on the kennel card. This dog was unfortunately unable to be saved and was euthanized by the rescue. Why are animals left suffering over so many days? That concludes what I do like to say. Again, things don't happen overnight. Good things take a while. Just as a side note, I hope this is okay to say this, I'm 67. I recently recorded a CD containing 10 songs I wrote, some in high school, some in college. 13 years ago, I wrote one for Kathy. It is finally on a CD. It was sold today. It was just produced today in New Jersey. All of you at this table will get a free copy. I urge you to continue, not because the songs are any good, but just I'm thankful that we have a group like this and a great turnout tonight coming here. I might have an extra copy for you guys too. But again, my stage name or nickname is Baby Arvelin. I was a baby in the family, and it's called Out of the Crib. One of our persons here, Flash, she actually did the photography for me on this. But anyway, coming soon to a Spotify near you, and to all of you next month, assuming you meet here, and I hope you do, because you're doing a good job. Just keep at it, because in my case, it took 50 years. Hopefully, it takes less than that for you guys. Make it good for Sumner County Animal Shelter. Thank you.
Heather Jones. Yes, name and address, please.
My name is Heather Jones. Address is 131 Walton Trace South in Hendersonville. I'm 41. I've lived here since I was 10, so I've been here a while. I'm the manager at the Humane Society, and I am the rescue, the twisted dogs that he was talking about. Cupcake is now hostess. She will be getting adopted soon. She's vetted now fully, and we got her fixed. Spay and neuter said bring her now, and I was already out of town, so I just went ahead and took her home to get her fixed. She is a wonderful girl. The other one that he was talking about, the pitying blue. So I pull from the pound often as possible. The pound actually does help sometimes. Like I have someone with a dog I will take. I have no space. Sometimes I can talk to Catherine out there and get her to let said dog come in, knowing I will come pick up said dog as soon as I possibly can. But I do go in and typically pick the broken ones or the ones that are the most damaged, knowing they are a harder adoption, but with us being a no-kill rescue, typically we can work with those things. When I saw Blue, he was not moving, and I thought he was dead, to be honest, because he would not move. And he had an aggressive label on his card. I do this a lot, especially with pity, so when I spoke with them, I'm like, I don't know if he is aggressive or not, but something is wrong, he is not moving. Can I, go in and meet him? Can I pull him? Can I do anything to help with him? Because he is just laying here and something is very wrong. So she made a call, and he said I could go ahead and take him. He showed no aggression, however, he did not walk. The dog collapsed to the ground multiple times, from me picking him up to me getting him to a vet. So we're talking about 4 to 6 hours max, probably really 2 to 4 hours. I found a vet that would finally see him all the way at the Harding Place, and I do have the medical vetting records. I mean, she did blood work, she did a heartworm test, which sadly was negative, when normally that's our #1 problem. He actually was neutered, which was not noted on the card, and then when she did the x-ray, she found a chip. So still working on getting all the chip info and finding out who that actual owner was, if it was the woman that called because the dog had bitten her. While taking him to the vet, she's like, he may have been hit by a car, this could be neurological, there were a variety of things she came across. Ultimately, we got to the ultrasound where she found tumors inside him and some form of a blockage, and the spleen was enlarged. So I spent all day with this dog, crying with a dog that I had just met, because he may have been aggressive, but at this point he was so ill there was no strength to be aggressive, if that was the case. I do personally believe the dog was sick and the woman knew it, and she pawned it off on the pound by saying it bit her because no one ever saw a bite. And she's like an 80-plus-year-old lady on oxygen in a wheelchair. That dog bit her, she'd have been in the emergency room. So I don't know about that part, but I did pull him, and after spending from 12 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock that night with this dog at a vet out in Harding Place, ultimately they did have to put him down because of all of the factors that were wrong, in addition to the neurological, which if he did do that, it is possible, but he was sick and there were other problems. I do know the person that picked him up, and she said when she picked him up, he actually hopped up in the truck. He was walking and moving. However, when I saw him, he was not moving, he was not moving, period. So we were able to get him up in the car, and I know there's protocol for bipolar and rabies and all of those things, but I feel like there has to be a cutoff point where if they're suffering and it's not going to be fixed, and if it is an aggressive, he should have been put down sooner, knowing what was going on, instead of just letting him sit there and basically suffer. He just had a lot going on that was wrong with him, and he ended up being 8 or 9 when we thought he was a little bit younger. But I did have to put him down due to the situation of all of the things combined, just not being able to fix what was wrong. Again, heartworm negative and neutered, which was bad, because typically those things that get them moved out a lot quicker. But he did have some issues. And then with the cane court, though, it was just let me take her and get her fixed. They're just going to breed her. And they had a Frenchie come in and the same thing. And they did actually fix the Frenchie. I will give them credit for that, because I was like, I will pay for it out of my pocket. Fix him. They are going to use him to breed. There's no question to that. So that one did get fixed and get adopted. But on a side note with that, for the most part, I'd say medical stuff, and then just fixing them. They got to be fixed before they go to wanting to foster. We have a foster program, but their other dog's not fixed. Then you're not fostering my dog because my dog's not fixed, and there's a reason yours isn't fixed, and unless your vet has a medical reason, there's no reason for your dog not to be fixed. So, turn away a lot of people from fostering because they clearly want to breed the dogs. Whether they're pits or it doesn't matter. People are stupid and think they can make money off of it. They really can't. A good breeder really doesn't make money. They just keep the breed line pure. But fixing is a big deal, and then just medical, like somebody coming in to see them, even like I said, with a bike history, I get that, but, and I know you have to cut their head off to rabies, test them and all, but that seems like that's something that should have been done for this dog specifically, because he was just not moving. And Catherine did say he looks sick, and I'm like, so what's going to be done? And I don't think she had thought about it and proceeded that far before I just said, please just let me take him. I will figure something out just so he's not sitting here suffering. But he did ultimately have to be put down. Normally it doesn't go that way, but I do get a lot where we have their cards that they have a chip, and like Cam2, it's registered to Romania, but it's not registered to a human. It's just in Romania. So he's going to have to get a whole separate chip because they can't fix the old chip or sheep. So just checking them and knowing whether they're neutered or not, or spayed and that kind of thing too. And then I'd say just the cat thing. I agree with not taking kittens to ferals, but like cats in general, I mean, we're going to take cats, because we end up with them ourselves if they don't. But we also pulled like 10 from them, mamas and babies that were all like 4 weeks old. So I do try to pull what I can when I can to help them and the animals in the community and pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Okay, now close recognition of the public. Before the chair, I'm going to take this opportunity to read the email that I sent out last month in lieu of having a meeting. I sent out some questions that could be used to report back to have this meeting rather than just have a dead period. I didn't get a response, so I sent out another email on September 3rd. So I combined the two in here. So I'm going to read the whole thing just for public record. Good morning, all. I had sent parts of this email last month hoping to get some answers to the public during the period we did not meet. I have not received any reply from the Sheriff's Department. That was near a time of immense turmoil, so grace is, of course, given. For those of you that remember, that's when the sheriff had passed away. Everyone in the public is keeping a sharp eye on statements that have been made on what seemed to be an agreeable path going forward. Some of the changes recommended by Dr. Pisano were very dependent on whether or not the budget requests made by Sheriff Craddock were approved. To my knowledge, he got the money that pertains to the animal control that would enable 2 part-time non-deputy employees to be hired ASAP. The other elements that were discussed multiple times throughout the last several months were the mandatory vaccination and spay and neuter that would be implemented. This was to be done within the old budget perimeters. This was very dependent on the relationship with Dr. Sarah over at Sumner Spay and Neuter Alliance. I will post the body of the email I sent out last month in case it was missed. And this is the original email. Questions from previous email. Lieutenant Matthews, I know we asked for some things in the last meeting that we were going to report back on. One in particular was the relationship status with Sarah at Sumner Spay and Neuter Alliance. Can you respond with the status via this email? I hope that the relationship is back on and the commutes to the Kentucky facility each week are no longer necessary. Can you also give the percentage of animals that are getting spayed, neutered now compared to the goal we all agreed, which should be 100%? In closing, I'll add these on the agenda for our September 10th meeting. We've explained that many changes that were agreed upon would have to wait until the budget passed. It will be good for the public to see the progress thus far. Thanks. So, I got a response yesterday after a month and a half from Sheriff Craddock. And it reads, I apologize for the delay. What is the relationship status of Sarah at Summer Span Neuter Alliance? So this is his response. Captain Carl McCoy, who's the new person over that position, reached out to Sarah and had a phone conversation where he requested a meeting to mend the relationship and forge a path forward. Our goal is to spay and neuter every animal. Sarah was in the middle of a couple of things that required her time and attention and stated it would be a couple of weeks or so before she could be available. We're waiting for Sarah's availability. Also, the Franklin, Kentucky location is still being utilized when they have ability. Lieutenant Tarlack did speak to another vet in the area about a potential partnership. We will continue to pursue all options. We have actively engaged with other rescues to move animals out of the shelter more efficiently. Our animal control personnel contacted 19 animal rescue agencies requesting assistance. Of the 19 rescues contacted, 8 animals were relocated from our shelter to theirs. Requested percentages of animals spayed or neutered upon adoption. That was the second question. We are not at the goal of 100%. The lack of appointments, I'm assuming he's meaning available appointments with Dr. Sarah, has contributed to this. Until we can work out other options, which we are actively pursuing, we will continue to spay and neuter the animals when there is availability. We will continue to adopt the animals per the law with the deposit and the refund of the deposit upon the animal being spayed or neutered. Dr. Pisano also recommended the adoptions continue in this manner until we have established enough services to reach our goal of 100% spayed and neutered animals. Other updates. The animal control policies are in their final review. Last week we held a meeting consisting of Captain McCoy, Lieutenant Tarlacki, Deputy Spray, Lieutenant Matthews, and Dr. Pisano. This meeting was regarding the final review of the policies. Dr. Pisano made a few more recommendations, and those changes were being codified. The county attorney and I will have to review the policy prior to implementation. I have attached photos of the new outdoor play areas for the dogs. We are thankful they were approved in the budget. We have received quotes on the washer and dryer and are excited to proceed with the procurement process. Respectfully, Sheriff Craddock. So I'm glad I got some kind of response just in regards to some of the things that are being done with approvals that happened with budgeted items, but I was hoping for more with regards to the punch list that we kind of all mutually agreed upon at this table. I know the citizens are asking for more because I get inundated with people that are upset, they're frustrated with how slowly this process is taking. Somebody remind me, I think, was it October of last year that we started this? We're coming up on a year. And we've got direction, we've got goals, we've got money now, but haven't seen a whole lot of progress. And I think people just want to know that something is on the horizon. Just something is coming. And, you know, the dogs got better play areas, they have better conditions. These are all wins. The cats have better conditions because they're not as crowded. But at the end of the day, we've got less animals being taken in and not really any more changes other than that because of the relationship statuses with the one dependent person that's willing to step up and do something in the county was Dr. Sarah over at Sumner County. I don't understand why that relationship is so hard to mend. We've got a letter from her also stating her side of that, and I'm sure that's going to come up sometime in the meeting. But I hope I'm conveying the correct emotion of frustration. I do not want to pick a fight with anybody, but I want to voice the citizens' concerns here at this table, because that's my job as a county commissioner. So with that, I'm going to end the report of the chairman, and we're going to go into old business, and that'll give you guys opportunities to chime in on some of these things. Maybe have some answers, or Lieutenant Matthews may have more to add since the letter was written, or he may have been given some directives to inform us about it also. So anyway, I'm going to move on to the update on policies and procedures is the next item that's coming up under old business. Is basically what Sheriff Craddock conveyed in the letter, kind of where you're at, still waiting on kind of
100%. Yes, sir. The reviews are done. They went so far as the changes, the last changes that the doctor recommended. They have been finalized, went to or going to Sheriff Craddock for review, and then the county attorney will review. If both of them are satisfied with the final product, at that time they'll be released.
Okay.
They will not.
For sure.
They will not be released until they are satisfied with the product.
Do you think you'll have something by next month?
I would hope that we already have something, but
Yeah.
yes, getting the final review that was done and the changes that was recommended were, I would say, not major. It was minor terminology and stuff like that. But like I said, they've worked very hard in trying to put the rules, regulations, and stuff that will reflect on that current policies and proper procedure that other agencies are doing also at this time. So they feel pretty confident that they'll have a complete product and hopefully a lot of good comments from that.
Okay. So you
Okay. So I'm probably going to say something. I'm going to try to be as tough love yet. And what I'm going to say is probably going to sting a bit. And it's only because, you know, when you deal with, and you're in the corporate arena, and you're approaching a year and you don't have protocols, it's a bedrock of how your functionality will be in any kind of system. And I personally have been requesting, regardless of where they're at, you always have to look at, here's your baseline, and where were we even in October protocol, and here we are nearly a year later and we don't have them. To me, that is probably the Achilles heel of why some things are going awry and why animals are still suffering. What I'm going to preference is this is a Gandhi quote, and it has to resonate with everybody, I think, in this room, and me. I'm a citizen, I'm on this board because I love animals, and I do rescue and adopt all my life. And this is also, how does our county look? And I want our county to be exceptional. I think we all do. And be competitive with other counties that are large like us. And I think it's a model problem, in my opinion, what I'm going to say. The greatness of a nation, I'm going to substitute that with a county, and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And so, what I'm seeing here, and what I'm hearing here, are a few things. A year later, no protocols that we can see as a committee, which would be a mandatory. In any, public sector, private sector, should be mandatory. Because who's on first, who's doing what, why are things not in a well-oiled machine like other places are? And there are also other places doing a lot more on a very shoestring budget. So I'm going to take out of the equation finances, because there's funding, there's financing, there's still problems. And for me to hear animals are suffering for days on end, it hurts my heart, okay? Especially pities, because I love that breed in particular the most, the ones that go through the worst. And when I see a response, albeit a month later, and we shouldn't have to be waiting for months cycles either. We have internet, we have this lovely thing here where we should be getting updates on the right column for us to see, easy,
very easy to read, how we can see progress, even on a weekly basis. We could get an email report on a weekly basis so that we come here, we're not kicking the can out the whole month. Because we're not dealing with widgets. We're not dealing with plastics and like other corporate entities and logistics. We're dealing with animal lives. And time is not on their side. And when things aren't done right, they suffer or they're euthanized. And there are probably homes out there that would like to have them and live beautiful lives. And it's a win-win because I think animals save us too many times. So when I look at I'm going to look at just their response. And I know that there's certain things that happen, but in any entity, people may not be there. People go on vacation. There has to be someone to take the lead. And if I don't see head leadership at this table for nearly a year, it sends very unfortunate messages like there's just a lack of care or concern. I'm just going to state the obvious. Advertising, we said never overlook the obvious. And if our bedrock in reducing intakes is spay and neuter, we can't even get past go on that. That's an issue. So, I'm going to give a solution to the problems, more than likely. Captain Carl McCoy, I don't know his title. Please give me the title, I don't know. So I'm going to... Captain Carl McCoy.
Captain is his title.
In terms of what does he do in terms of, in charge of what? Of all of animal control. Okay, so I did not know that. So,
he oversees animal control and the school resource.
Okay, so that would be very helpful to say, it's like an org chart. This person does this so that we can all wrap our heads around about operational and how to fix then to find where the holes are in operations too. So I didn't know that, so thank you for clarifying. And is that person kind of functioning as an animal control director, as I see models as animal control director?
He's supervisor. He's functioning as a manager, not an animal control manager at the location.
Okay. So that would be helpful to have name, purview, org chart, operation, because this is a big thing. If you can't get a root, then we can't figure out where, and collectively work together to fix where the things are happening. And so, waiting for availability, 11 months, and there's no communication. That, to me, is just very troubling, and it's very concerning. What vets were being spoken to? Can we get a list of vets that were contacted? Who? When and who? So that we can have an accounting of touch points and what's actually happening. We engage with other resources. Which ones? Specificity to me is very important because you're going to find things rather than generalities, especially when you're still hearing these issues that are unfortunate. We're not at 100% goal. Well, why? I mean, there are reasons for things. Establish enough services. Specificity. Again, specificity. And I think what would be really helpful is if this is a great little thing, that this gets filled in and we get it distributed to our team, because our team needs to know what's happening pretty much in real time. And you could do that when you have emails and stuff and shared emails. So I think what's happening here, in my opinion, and I have a love of animals, so I'll dedicate a lot of hours to try to go from heartbreakingly 50 to 70% euthanization rates, which hurts my heart and soul too, and getting on this committee to make a difference collectively, because we have to do this. And we have to get intelligence to know exactly what's happening. I've even requested with the trustees, what's the cost, because there are costs involved, not free, so that we can wrap our heads around this model isn't working and this is not the proper call because of a cost, and also what good looks like. How do we open up a facility so that's feeling very welcoming? And if this is an Achilles heel, then that Achilles heel is not where we need to be and what we need to do, because you could have volunteers, part-timers, whatever it is, because there are costs involved in trustees. And I need to wrap my head around it because I want to quantify stuff. I haven't gotten that information either, which I would love to have. But from all of my research too, and I've looked at PAWS, I've looked at National Humane, you guys and the Sheriff's Department, you're great at this, which is field ops. This is what you're great at. engaging with people, understanding of law enforcement. How do we get the citizens to do their part to care for animals? Because often what's on the other side of the leash. And animal lives, again, hanging the balance. You guys do that great. Why can't we do that similarly? Because it seems to work in other places from a model perspective. And then there's an animal control director who also has underneath them, and that way they can engage and work with volunteers. They're getting animals adopted. I see things because I'm on a lot of forums. These people are get up and go, they coordinate, they get someone to pick up the animals. Some animals are in need, just like what was happening here within community. We're not able to do that a year downstream. I'm hoping that we can do better, and there's ways to rapidly get that done. But the one I'm seeing and I'm hearing is a model issue, possibly an operational issue, getting the right people in position to do what they do best is always critical. So in the absence of any protocols, who's doing what, and still to this day, we can't sit here collectively to say, oh, there's this right here. And if we fix this, this can happen. But if we're not caring for these animals because we lack veterinary care, if we can't get them spayed and neutered, we can't achieve adoptions. We're talking basics and baselines. And if we can't do the foundational stuff, then we're just constantly kicking the can and we're spinning our wheels. I want to see progress and growth, but not 2 months and still not getting real-time answers. With electronics and data sharing, we can get real-time animal answers because animal lives, we're looking at papers and data, and we keep forgetting. There's suffering, pity. There are animals not getting chipped or not getting neutered, not getting adopted. And we want to get them in and out, but we want to avoid them getting in to begin with. So can we please, in the absence of all the other, this is going to happen, I want to see protocol. You're operating on something. And if I can have that, by Friday, I'll be very happy. So give me the opportunity to take a look at it, and I'll do that over my weekend. Because it has to be done. We have to see operate at a very basic operational. And if these things are filled in, if we can have that filled in as well, so that we can do a compare and contrast. And we'll manage and we'll see our progress. And I think that will also help alleviate a lot of frustration because I sit with these people and I am frustrated for the very reasons I disclosed tonight.
Thank you. Lieutenant Matthews, if that becomes available, as soon as it becomes available, will you email it out to the...
I will relay the request, as I always do, from whatever information comes, and then the sheriff will make the decision what he's going to do and if he's going to do it.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Have we ever had a policy and procedures?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Could we get a copy
It's
of
a moot
the
point.
original?
I'll just tell you, it's a moot point at this point because the new ones are coming out. So whatever old is a moot point because we're going to be operating under the new one.
You could maybe, again, we could see if we had made progress, what was being done. I mean, do we have a
I'm
policy?
sure that is. I had them when I was over there. But like I said, in all likelihood, it's a moot point because of the new operational procedures that's going to take place. So whatever was done before, y'all want to see comparison, we're doing this, it doesn't matter. I'm sure if he's got it, he'll give it to you, but it doesn't matter. And that's me talking, that's not the sheriff's office. That's that's Joe Matthews talking. That doesn't matter, and the reason why it doesn't matter is because of when you go to something, these are new policies and procedures, the old ones are gone.
Well, I'm just taking it, I mean, it seems to be such a big chore to get it done. I just wonder, just starting from scratch, or is
It took almost 3 years to rewrite policies at the sheriff's office on general everyday things that the sheriff's office and deputies do.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's because you're not involved, or you don't have, just going to be honest, Mr. Chairman, don't have all the facts or involved on how things work and what is going on. Like I said, these things that you think you can sit down and you can take 463 policies and just rewrite them in a day or two, you can't do that. It takes time. And like I said, what I would like, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for each one at this table to go on and give me all their complaints and all the problems, and I will address every one of them right here tonight. Every one of them, I bet you I've got an answer for.
We're going to keep going through this thing the way it is right now. You still have the floor, Mrs. Diane. You done? Go ahead.
I'm going to need to say this because it has to be said. When you're operating, you don't have new. New is out here somewhere. We are here in real time today. You cannot be operating absolutely nothing. You're operating on something. And that something we should already have had, because that request has been 2 months ago request, because we didn't meet last time. And that should have been had, because again, you know, look, I worked in a very heavily regulated environment with the FDA, and we have, you know, you want to talk about legalities, medical, legal, regulatory, and 3 years to do things and then say we have no protocols and it doesn't matter. That would never be uttered in any boardroom or any entity, especially when you're dealing with public policies as well in the pharmaceutical arena. So what I'm trying to say is, you're operating on something today. We don't have anything at all, and what are you operating today? And that could easily be sent because it's a today and a yesterday and a 15-year, whatever, how long the purview has been. And so here we are, and that's been a request of 2 months ago, and still, we even said, it doesn't matter if it's just little language tweaks here and there. To me, that doesn't matter to me. You're operating on something. I don't want to wait all the way out here. I'm a citizen, and I'm making that request, and I've made it 2 months ago. And it's unacceptable to not have what was requested. Because on FOIA, it would be 7 days, freedom of information. And this is now 60 days, and we still don't have it. So I have to say that from a legalities perspective, too. So can we please have that, regardless? And also, I must add, it is not helpful to hear, well, if somebody wants to do it, they're going to do that. This if I'm not mistaken, there is a Tennessee code annotated that I have read, that the purview of animal control is within the power of the legislature. And legislature, because I understand what that means, is county commission/mayor. So, as a citizen, and we are to instruct our elected officials accordingly through our Constitution, that we are to instruct. And as a citizen, and also someone on this meeting and this ad hoc committee, which I thank God that I'm a part of, somebody has to move the needle for the animals, and it has to happen. So my request today is going to be, I'd like to see in my inbox by Friday current protocols that are followed, organizational chart, who's doing what's the title, and what is their job description. And therefore, we can now have a basic, this is basic, it's rudimentary, it's not, understanding of how this is working, and then have an understanding of how do we fix what's not working. It's still not working. So that's going to allow all of us to take care of this issue collectively.
Lieutenant Matthews, will you forward that request onto the secretary?
As and I will reiterate, every request that's been made out of this committee has been forwarded.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If there is something currently there, and if we could have it by Friday.
Again, I will relay the request, but that's all I can do.
That's what I'm asking. Go ahead.
That's a motion.
Commissioner Zanoni, go ahead.
I have a couple questions. I know we started in October of last year, 23, and Dr. Fasano came in April, and so 24.
April, February.
So we were October, November, December, January, February, March. We were 6 months out before she came into the picture with us. And during the first 6 months, I know that we had talked about policy, we had requested policy, we also had copies of some policies. I do remember seeing that. But Dr. Pisano came in, the presentation was done, there was a review, the Sheriff's Department accepted it, they wanted to work with them, and I'm not making excuses for anyone, because I'm not that way. If you really wanted to hear what I had to say, you probably don't want to hear what I have to say. But what I'm going to say is that for 6 months, we worked through what we could, and then we had the grant, and we had the study, which was fantastic, and now trying to work through it. But my thought is that I see we're trying to make a difference. They're trying to help, but I think they have. First of all, I've never seen the director of the facility. He's never come to our meeting. He chooses not to come, and that's where I feel like, I know that he comes because he's asked to come and he likes to come, and I appreciate him being here. But for almost 1 year, I have never seen the director come to the meeting. We've requested. He's not come. He's too busy. It's his schedule. This and that. But my problem is that here we are, April, May, June, July, August. We're in 6 months now. So we've got 6 months. We're working through a process. We got a review. Now we're at 6 months into that process. Do I think we've made some headway? Yeah, I do. I think we do, but we have other issues. And I understand that they've been trying to work on the policies. I know that was something, and they're reviewed, they're looking at them, they're going to bring them forward. I do agree there should be some formidable policy manual that should have been out there for anybody to look at. I don't know where that is. At this point, I feel like, if you're writing policies, you had to have a policy that you worked from. If it's taking you 3 years to write a policy, then you didn't have a policy. It takes you a while. I mean, I've written policies. I know. And so I'm not dogging the sheriff's department. I'm not. But I think that in the light of, I've heard the relationship issue with the state, that's been going on for years. And I feel like that we've been tap dancing. I feel like we're tap dancing. And I don't know. I mean, I want this ad-hoc committee to continue because we owe it to the citizens to fix this. If it takes me by myself, I think it needs to stay in place. However, if we keep tap dancing, we're never getting anywhere. And eventually, it's going to be snuffed. And that's what I'm worried about. And so I feel like if we can get some, he does what he says he does. He reports back. That's what he's supposed to do. But if we at least could have leadership come and at least talk to us every once in a while, every quarter, every 6 months, just say, hey, we understand your frustrations, etc. I'm not getting on Sheriff Craddock because he just got that spot. I get it. And I know he's trying. However, we can't keep, like she said, kick the can down the road. This is bureaucratic garbage to me. And who is at the end of this? Who's the receiving end of this? It's the animal. And so I want to see the new policies. I would like to have some, even if, I don't have to have the book. Maybe just a synopsis of what you had. I don't need a piece of paper. Okay?
Well, so the request has been made. He's going to forward the request. I'd like to move on to the next item.
Well, I mean, you can cut me off, but I
don't mean to. I do want you to get to the point, though, as far as if it's about policies and procedure and you want it, then that's clear, and we've asked for it, and that's all we can do. But if you want to talk more about it, I want to hear more of what you have to say, if there's more than just the request.
Well, if there's a policy about spay and neuter already in place, then seriously,
It's been stated what that is.
Yeah,
They're doing it with the certificate that they get with the policy. That was in the beginning.
we've came up with some great solutions. I really do think we've done a lot in this year. I honestly do, because I know what it was like when we first walked in the store. And I know he's in the middle.
Mhm.
And I understand his situation. But that we're also in the middle too. So I'll leave it at this. I think that we need to start really, I would appreciate, like I asked before, for leadership to show up. I've asked that several times, and I was told that he would respond back. And then that one last time was the guy was too busy. Well, too busy for what? You know? If I told my boss I was too busy, David said, okay, we're going to have to find another job.
Yeah, you'd be gone.
I'm
The
done.
point, and I can answer this question, I can make this statement for Lieutenant Matthews to their point, we're not their boss.
We're not their boss.
And that's the point of frustration that the public has with us. Mr. Sokol is right, animal control does fall under the purview of the county.
Mm-hmm.
We have given it to the sheriff's department, therefore we have released responsibility of it. We can't always take it back. But we're not choosing to do that right now, and that's something that you'd have to talk to all your commissioners about and try to get all the votes on, and that's a huge undertaking. So we're trying our best to make this work, because it makes a lot of sense to have the people that are doing the work to pick up the animals to do the other part of it. It has worked in other counties, other states. We're just kind of at a point of growth here and learning and best practices. So it's worth it to try to make this work, but you are right in your statement that you made. I don't want to hear it anymore that, you know, that we can't do anything about it, especially what is being said to the citizens by saying it to this board. But I think we just need to keep pressing for more information. We've done that. We've asked for the request. Hopefully he can bring us back something by the end of this week, because they are operating on something. If they're not operating on anything, that's going to be a great point of frustration, because that means they're juggling animals.
Well, I will tell you that Dr. Stefano looked at their policies and procedures. So they have them. So they're not absent.
I understand that they're saying it's moot because they're changing, but they've been changing for a long time, and we want to see what they've been this whole time. I understand your point of frustration. The request is being made. That being said, if there's nothing else on procedures and documentation, I want to move on to foster care application review. But since that was not mentioned in the letter, as far as any update with that, I'm thinking that's probably in the policies and procedures, and if it is, we won't stick around with that issue and belabor the point. Just say that, and we'll move on.
I got information.
Okay, great.
A reference to that, what has been decided, is in reference to where you have approved as of, August, when we had the meeting, approved the budget that had the 2 part-time staff in that budget for approval. We are taking applications and, on that to get them on board. And of course, they've got to be vetted, whoever wants to, because it is a law enforcement agency over it, they got to be vetted, so the background checks and everything you got to do. What my understanding is, speaking personally with Lieutenant Tarlacki and Captain McCoy, is that one of the part-timers' main job is going to be the foster care program, to get it up, first priority, get it up and running. The second part-timer is going to be responsible, put in effect for volunteers to start to get that program up and running as part of their other duties as needed. You're going to look at the part-time hours. It's 29 to 32 hours there. They have to be below a certain amount. Or
full-time.
Yeah, full-time. And their hours of operation, it appears, by looking at it and talking to Dr. Pisano and stuff like that, 2 p.m. in the afternoon until 7 at night, is the basic that they're looking at. Reason being is, number one, Dr. Bisano said, want to make sure the animals aren't left over a period of time. So she recommended somebody working till at least 7 p.m. at night. Personally, I would like to have somebody that worked till about 11 or 12 o'clock at night if they didn't do anything but walk around and tend to the kennels.
But nonetheless, that extends the hours, right?
It extends the hours, that's correct.
Typically it closes at what?
4:30, yes. So they're going to extend the hours, and those other hours when people do get off work and stuff, would open up, most people work to 4 or 5. That would give them the opportunity after they get off work to come by the shelter, talk about volunteering or doing things there, or whatever the case would be. But that is the tentative plans for the 2 part-timers.
Any idea how many applicants you've had?
I do not at this point. Like I said, my understanding from them talking with Sheriff Craddock was that we couldn't do anything until the finances were done.
But they're open now.
And now the finances done, and then they're seeking applications for people to come in.
So the process is open right now.
Yeah.
Ever hear that? Spread the word.
Where are the jobs posted?
Y'all have to get further with Craddock to see how that's working. I don't know if it's been people just coming in and filling some out, word of mouth, or what. But yeah, no, we're open for those positions to come in. If you're interested, come out and fill an application.
Please,
The quicker they can do that, quicker we get those applications filled out, the quicker we start the background checks.
please check the websites, and if they're non-websites, we convey to them that we'd like to see that on there just ASAP, because I think these fine people will do their best to try to fill those, send you all the people you want.
And the other thing is that they did approve in the budget, just to let you know, they did approve another IT person for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
So that's going to do wonders in the ability to progress more rapidly through things also.
Is that going to affect the website?
It's going to affect several things. Sheriff's office. Yes, sir. The gentleman that we had doing it was doing it for the whole sheriff's office. That means everything, the jail, every division, we got everything. So sometimes it took a lot longer to get things done because it's one person. Now they're going to have 2. They're going to divide those duties up. And so, as anything with jail, with one person, you put 2, you just cut your time.
Has that person been hired yet?
They were interviewing today.
Okay, when that name is found, whichever one is the one tasked with the responsibility, and I would advise one of them, not both of them.
Correct.
Whenever that one is, his job description is laid out, would you give us that name of who the IT person is for that? Because
yes, sir.
If there's issues with the website or suggestions of things that we kind of wanted for Dr. Pisano's suggestions and all, we can follow up with, that'd be great.
That is correct. Yes, sir, we'll do that.
Can I have you text some questions then?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, who do you see first? Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Diane.
The intake link has been down for a week, and I think someone called them about it, and they said, well, we didn't know. So I'm not sure.
You aware of that?
No,
Yeah, it's,
I can make a quick.
they posted like 133 pictures of the girl, so I don't know how Myrtle can get on there, but.
You're saying the intake, you're talking about the animals up for adoption or the animals up for?
I think the stray, the stray one.
The pickups.
Yeah, the pickups, so that people can see if they've lost their pet, they can get on there. And they said it has been
Weeks.
Weeks? I'll see if I can get an answer right now.
Okay.
Some other people have told me that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm actually very happy to hear that you have an IT person. I mean, if you're juggling, and I know my heart goes out to you guys too. You've got to deal with humans, and then you have animals. And so that's an awful lot of an undertaking, and I wonder if that's another thing too. Once we can get a handle on things and wrap our heads around things, that again, it'll probably be a model or an organizational or whatever to fix some of these deals. My wish list and what I'd like to see is, I call it trackers. You can track things. Okay, how are we doing? And especially now you have newer people, which is great because then you have energy rather than inertia. with new people. New people bring ideas. They're like, hey, I don't need someone to tell me certain things. If I have ideas to make things better, I do it because I want to. I don't feel like I have to be told to. So what I would have a wish list of, hey, we're excited to report in like a 6-month tracker. We did this 6 months ago, and look at all the progress we're doing. And upload it onto the website. Let the citizenry see. Be proud of the work that's being done, and that's achievable when you have an IT person that can do that. And do aggregates, like this, like we could do little line graphs, which could, they're easy, visual rather than all this text. People want to give it to me quick. They like to see pie charts. This is where we were, and this is where we are. Just things with IT.
Yeah, and I don't want to cut you off, but I want to stick with the agenda items and particularly foster care. But no, well, he opened the door by asking for that, and I appreciate that. But what I'd like to see, since that could take a ton of time going into conversations about wants and requests, if you could put that in an email, copy the whole board on it, and then that he can take that request back instead of discuss it here at the table, which is not productive.
Okay.
To just go into wants, because we kind of already did that in the first 6 months. If we're revamping that and now we're kind of getting punch lists, I think it'd be more productive to put it in an email. Does everybody agree? Is that okay? I'm not trying not to cut people off, but I think
then start getting things attached, because before meetings, we have prep. I want to see things beforehand.
So you know how you're in the group email, right? For our board.
Sometimes I'm
I think it's been settled now, though. I think you're on it from now on. So if you put it on there, I'm hoping that Lieutenant Matthews will be able to get, does she need a copy of the sheriff when she does things like this on our board? Copy
Yeah,
on it?
if I may,
Yeah.
what I would recommend, and it's an excellent idea, there's 2 things. Number 1 is questions or requests in between meeting times. So we can walk out here right now and you say, golly, I should ask for that or I should have done that. Go on and send an email.
Okay.
You can address it to Sheriff Craddock personally, or you can address it to him as a copy, and you can address it to Lieutenant Tarlacki or Captain McCoy or myself. If I get that request, I'll get the information to him. But yeah, now all that will be how our email works is the first initial of the person, like mine would be J, and then my last name at sumnersheriff.com. At sumnersheriff.com. So if it's Sheriff Craddock, it'd be Ian Craddock.
If you look at the last email that was the group one sent, Eric Craddock is on there, and you are on there.
Yes.
You could probably pick up that one.
Okay.
But so what I'd like you to do is do them in a punch list type thing, not giant paragraphs, bullet points, and then ask me, say, is there a way we can work this into the agenda next month? And that way they'll know it's going to be coming up as a question, so hopefully they'll have an answer by that time. It's not just a, hey, I want to know something. It's like, I plan on discussing this, please be prepared for it. And it's a formal request that's going to be on there.
And if I can, sir, just so everybody hears, we are not discussing on email stuff. We're just communicating items like, is the meeting, the agendas, we're saying this is the agenda. Sometimes the chairman will send us out and he'll say, do you want to add anything to the agenda? But we've all been cautioned a lot by the legal department. We don't have private discussions.
We're bound by sunshine laws but sunshine laws affect the way you vote. This is a non-voting, typically, committee. We just kind of discuss and make suggestions. So we're really not in danger of breaking any sunshine laws, but we are supposed to do open meetings and be transparent with everything. The things that we would talk about in the emails would be preparing for an agenda to present to the public on types of things that we would like to see seen. And it's kind of the same thing that you guys would do to us if you wanted to email us and give us some suggestions on something. So there is no sunshine laws being broken, and we're not in danger of that with this board in particular, but we do want to appear to be transparent with everything we do. So, good point, Commissioner Boyd. Was there any other questions on particularly foster care application reviews? If not, I'm going to move on. Okay. Review of updated checklist provided by Team Shelter. If that is lengthy and it's going to go on for a long time, I would like to, should have already asked them in the agenda. I guess we got to keep it on there the way it is.
May I?
A suggestion? You wanna
Yes,
make
I have a suggestion
Yeah.
for you. Do you have some significant updates for us from the checklist without all the details?
Just that basically everything's being checked off as we're going down through there. Like I said, all the cats and all the portals have been done. The new areas for the dogs, you got 5, 20 feet by 30 feet.
That's the big one, I think, that's the main thing, is
Yes.
play areas and
Yes,
things like
the
that.
final
That would
said
include
that was
everything.
needed, and that once the money was approved, they got right on it, and it's up. It's ready. They got them operational. Which, you know, you're talking about a 20 by 30, it's 150 square feet per row. So you got, what, about 750 square feet total, something like that we didn't have before. We do have the 2 additional ones out back that was there previously. So we got 7 different places right now.
So the playground is coming along?
Yes.
Or is it 100%?
No, they said it's up and operational.
I have to describe it from the pictures.
I've got the pictures here.
Just pass them around.
Yeah, pass that around, y'all take a look of the larger picture.
I'll describe it to the public just so, and y'all can come up and look at the pictures after the meeting, but, they look like they're like 5 foot tall.
6 foot.
6 foot tall, black, coated, chain link fences, probably, what, 20 by 30 or 30 by 30?
Yeah, they're 20 feet wide, 30 feet long.
Play areas. Right now, they look like they have grass on them. I don't know how long that grass will last with dogs, but they look really nice with grass. I hope that's something that you guys plan on trying to upkeep with grass or mulch or something. I don't want to see mud holes in 3 months.
Definitely not.
But
No mud holes.
hopefully they're, yeah, go ahead.
Are there
Yeah,
any
that's
other?
correct. How many are there? 2 or 3?
We've got 5 of those there,
5.
and then we got 2 additional ones in the back that they have used before, but this just gives it more, and what the
How
dogs
many
are.
more additional?
We got those 5, and then we've
Okay.
got 2 in back.
So imagine
So
like
we got
5 pens, play pens for dogs that are 25 by 25 square foot next to each other to where fences are splitting them all apart, but multiple dogs that get along can go in there and play together and not be in their kennels all day, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, could I just make one recommendation? That those animals are supervised when they're out there.
They are
Because I
100%
do have a dog at my shelter that dug out, and dogs do that, you know, and he was then left outside, and, you know, make sure there's some type of shelter for the rain and the sun, and, you know, I mean, they're beautiful, you know, but, again, the dog I have, Wilma, at the shelter, she ducked out from.
Can you speak to that, John, what the policy is?
Yeah, the policy is the animal control person has to be out there at the time. We're talking one of the deputies or the animal control staff inside. Has to be out there with the animals when the animals are out there. We can have trustees and stuff also, but it will be supervised by an employee at all times. And just like I said, Diana, we have one beagle that climbed the 6 foot fence. Right up, yeah, we had a beagle that climbed the 6 foot fence and went over. So that's one of the concerns. Like I said, reason you want somebody out there is to watch for that.
That's the major updated change. Is there any other major, changes this month?
If I could just insert here, we're talking about what the outside looks like. I would like to entertain the idea of, at this point, inserting that I would like to have an invite for a tour for this committee to the facility.
Oh, yeah, Lieutenant Tarlack has already made that offer. That
If we
says at
could
any
schedule
time,
that,
at any time y'all want to come individually or as a group, you're welcome anytime. Just let him know, and you come in and he'll take you through the whole facility.
Currently, they close at 4:30. What are they have any weekend hours or?
Yes, they're open on Saturdays, also till 4:30.
I could do a Saturday on.
But
if you could, yeah, we
Well,
have
it could be done on a Sunday.
arrange it for us, offline, arrange it.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do. You tell us when it fits your schedule, and I'll just tell them they need to make it happen.
I'm gonna throw a date out there on the email.
It actually closes at 4,
4:30. We got people there till 4:30 though.
closed Sunday and Monday, and
Yeah, Sunday, Monday were the deep clean days.
So I will put out on email what day I'm suggesting, and, I'll copy you and Lieutenant Tardy.
And then-
But like I said, if you want maybe one evening, you can't get there till 6, well,
And-
they need to make arrangements, my opinion.
If,
Get in there.
can I ask you for the citizens, if they would like to come and see the facility, they can walk in as an adopter, and what parts of the facilities can they see? Can they go to the back and see
My
the yard,
understanding
or
is
what
that
is
they have been showing everybody all the adoption area before because of the, animals in the back there in the quarantine and bite dogs and stuff, they hadn't. But I'm sure if Chris is there, or you got a deputy there in person to go with to ensure nothing happens, I don't see a problem with them turning the whole facility.
So a citizen can go in anytime, it's okay?
I would
And-
ask, let me verify with Chris, and I'll do that right now, but my understanding is, like I said, they're not in the adoption areas, and then I'll see what they found out about the bag.
Excellent.
And the intake area, you said?
Ma'am,
And the intake?
that's what she was talking about, the intake and the pre-holding areas, waiting for the dogs to vet them and stuff to get them over to adoption.
I think that was one of the things that Dr. Pisano encouraged, was the open place. There is no more section, is that correct? That people
Yes.
cannot go into as long as somebody is available to take.
Right, and they've done what Dr. Brasano said with another checklist on the kennels, as far as the dog has 2. Okay, we used to have all the individual kennels.
Yeah.
Now they're opening them up where the dog has 2 kennels. Of course, that cuts the amount of animals we can come in, but that's another change that was done and they made. The other changes was done were about the animal intake and owner surrenders and these other avenues. They've been wearing that out quite a bit. I mean, all those are positive things that's been happening. All those requests for that to be started has started and they're working through. Like I said, anything they could have done immediately, they tried to go in and do that. And then the other stuff, or is the extra help and the programs and stuff like that comes as the budget and stuff went forward.
And can I just say for the record, that the budget was passed July 1st. So the money came, am I getting that wrong?
August.
August.
Yeah, it
August
was
first.
labeled.
It was August 5th or
That's
whatever.
right, we had delayed, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what's delayed some, not saying everybody had reasons. I mean, it's just something you'll have to look
The
for.
late July, commission, should have been the third
It was
Monday
the
of July.
property assessor. I mean, everybody likes to hear that, but we didn't have the tax rate.
Correct. And that situation with schools, I'd get that worked out.
That was fine.
It
The
was-
schools
it
were
was
fine.
special- It was a special.
It was the tax
August.
rate. We did not
August.
have the tax rate from the assessor's office, so therefore we could not make the budget number. We didn't know
Correct.
how much money would come in.
So I know this is new and everybody's eager to jump. We're sitting at,
Yeah.
a month or less from the time they got the money. We gotta get them time to fill the positions, but I wanna see that is like right on the horizon. If we could hear that, then I think a lot of people would be happy that big changes are coming. With that being said, is that the major ones for the because the next slide it's gonna take longer. I really wanna get to number 8 on new business. Does anybody have anything else on review of updated checklist?
I have one.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
Regarding the washer and dryer, what is the deal with that?
We're getting the washer and dryers, my understanding is, what we've been using before, they say was commercial grade, but they're not commercial grade. Now they're paying big bucks, for the ones like are in the jail. They're finally getting those over there, so.
I think that
It's
was
neat.
on Sheriff Craddock's request.
It's on the, and it's something I requested way back when I was over there.
Part of the total of $200,000 that we increased our budget by was for washer and dryer.
Yeah,
Industrial.
$20,000.
Can we have your old one?
Huh?
Yeah. Paul, have your
I need to go somewhere.
The old one.
But they're not, some of them in good shape, and 1 or 2 of them, they wore out.
Y'all talk afterwards, maybe we
Well,
can do
there are procedures.
Yeah.
I will next time.
Yeah, we can go there.
If we could go on to the next item.
Okay, we're gonna go to new business. So this one, A and B are kind of going to merge just because of the nature of what they are. I'm gonna start this whole conversation kind of ebbing and flowing with frustration and niceties, but it's gonna be another point of frustration. But we're working through this. Everybody's understanding where we are, and we're gonna work through this. So I was discouraged that my email wasn't answered quicker because to me, everything that we do on this committee revolves around the relationship with our community partners. One of the biggest ones is Sumner County and Dr. Sarah. Or, not a doctor, sorry, Sarah. She has people that work for her. I say she actually did it, but people work for her. I haven't seen the no, I've met her and I've talked to her, I've just never seen the operation. So, I get Dr. Sarah Pazana mixed up with her too, so sorry about that. But anyway, the relationship with them, I figured was low-hanging fruit because she's right here. I mean, really, really close. And the success of that program is the linchpin for the 100% vaccination, the 100% spay and neuter. Everything was key keying on that relationship. And it's frustrating because if there's an issue with you guys, with the sheriff's department, with her, I want to know what it is because I want to try to help fix it. Because usually people and personalities are the problem, with the relationships. It's not usually rules or anything else. I reached out to them and asked them what the issue was, and they said there's no difference than the letter that we sent. I think it was 4 years, 3 years ago, and they just have some criteria that they want followed. So it is kind of rules, but it's not asking a lot from what I see and what I experience in my own learning, just by having my own pet spade. It's not a lot that they're asking for. So I want to know more about what the problem is, but I want to I know there's some people here that have some information that I don't have to explain a little more about that. And I invited Sarah to come give her side as to why this relationship isn't mended yet. But taking animals to Kentucky to do the same job as taking them up the street seems like that is the crux of a lot of the problem. And if we could only get that mended, I thought the answer would be to have a contract to where we as a commission cannot legally hold somebody responsible or, to the contract, but have some sort of oversight to explain and help out with the relationship. It seems like the sheriff's department doesn't want a contract and Sarah doesn't want a contract. And then neither one of them want a contract. I don't understand that because you can make a contract whatever you want it to be, as loose or as tight as you want it to be. But to me, that gives a third party or even the citizen group to know what each side is expected to do. And I think that's a big part of the problem. And I just want to hash that out and see what that is. Are you in the queue yet, or you're second? But I know, like I said, I'm gonna give the floor over to some people that know more about this than me, unless you got to speak. Sarah couldn't be here tonight, but she did convey that there is some frustration there, and we need to get it solved. So, go ahead, Cam2.
Okay, so I talked with Sarah right before this meeting. I even wrote it down, so I would get it right. Part of Sarah's problem is, and this letter was 4 years ago, you're correct, in November of 4 years. She feels that nothing really has changed, and I honestly feel the same way. But 2 weeks ago, she met with Captain McCoy, and he knew nothing about this letter or any of the issues, but yet he came on in, and so she told him, she said, please read the letter, and we'll revisit this conversation. Well, he has never contacted her again, and she hasn't received any response. And several months ago, she met with Lieutenant Tarlacki and to talk about resuming the surgery. and she made him 4 appointments, and they canceled them due to short staff. You cannot tell me that there's 2 women in the front, somebody can't put a dog in the car, drive it over there, volunteer. David, he transports for me all the time. He don't even have to come in the building, stick the dog in his car, let him drive it to spay neuter. Well, I got those 4 appointments because again, they have such demand. She doesn't want to lose any spots, and I'll take them, and that's how I work with them. I do what they ask, and again, if you've got the time to go to 9 different schools to read books to children, and again, that's a great. But why are you doing that as animal control? Why aren't you teaching humane education and focusing on what your job is? I mean, that's a lot of time to go to these schools, and you've got animals sitting in your shelter, and so anyway, the simple things, like you said, the simple things that she wanted addressed was, 1, be on time. She said that they were always late for their appointments, and be on time to pick up. Sometimes they were 2 hours late, she said. And again, those first set of animals that stayed the night, they've got to get out and those kennels clean so that the next set can come in. So they're sitting here with animal control of animals. Don't bring animals with upper respiratory, diarrhea, dehydrated, and she requires a copy of the intake with vaccine, microchip information, the dog's stomach shape, weight, and these were given to me. I'll pass them around. These are just an example.
Stomach shape, explain.
Oh, it's to look for a spay scar, to see, and again, sometimes spay neuter, they'll do a little green tattoo, but not everybody does. And sometimes it's hard to see a little scar, but at least, look. And so these are, have been given to me. These are recent intake kennel cards from Animal Control on Blue and Cupcake. There's no weight. There's no, this weight was written down when they found out it was coming to spay neuter. So I just don't believe that the proper protocol for intake is happening. I don't see heartworm tests, I don't see weights, I don't see vaccines, I don't see deworming, I don't see flea treatment. And so the Humane Society gets a dog. As a nonprofit, they incur the cost that the animal control, they put it on somebody else. That dog laid there for 3 days. If you look, every month we get reports on animals that were brought in by the Sheriff's Department, by Gallatin, by Cortland, how many were euthanized, adopted, returned to owner, and deceased. Every month there's animals that just deceased for no reason. Well, if Heather hadn't got that dog, it would have been another deceased on here. How do you let animals lay there and die? I mean, that's what I just don't understand, and that is her frustration. And again, as Sarah said, it's not due to no appointment, it's due that they did not respond to the letter. And as far as the certificate, that she said there was a certificate that was printed, right, Joe? About just for them, like you could only use spay neuter to use the certificate once you adopted a dog.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
and she said she doesn't have a problem with that certificate, but it has to include other places. She cannot be your primary. So she's willing to work with people, and again, I mean, for those who don't know, I won't read this whole letter, but it just was addressed to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office Animal Control Division, it's really hard to read. November 9th, 2020, almost 4 years ago. We are extremely concerned about the poor health and lack of medical care the dogs and cats in your facility receive. The Sumner County Spay Neuter Alliance has worked closely with Sumner County Animal Control for 10 years, providing spay neuter services and basic services for pets being put up for adoption. We'd like to continue providing spay neuter services, but at this time, until changes are made, we can no longer accept animals into our clinic from your shelter. We cannot continue to take the chance of passing along sickness to our other patients. We cannot perform surgeries on unhealthy dogs and cats, and we will not continue causing stress to our staff and veterinarians over the condition of the animals in your care. Changes must be made with guidance from professionals from the Animal Care Control Bureau. A qualified professional must be hired to implement services and make changes. Illness is due to cross-contamination. We should not be asked to perform surgeries on dogs and cats that are dehydrated, emaciated, have respiratory infections, parasites, diarrhea, and other issues that should be addressed at intake and during their stay by your medical staff. Dogs and cats' health should not deteriorate, and they should not suffer at your facility, whose job it is to care for them. There must be a plan for injured and sick animals that enter your facility. Allowing them to linger in pain should not be allowed. And
He's still going. Keep going. No, keep going. I just want to, when you finish the letter, I want to say something. Go ahead.
until we can have a meeting and discuss the situation and solution, we cannot provide Sumner County Animal Control services. Qualified, knowledgeable personnel must be hired. Protocol must be placed in place to better care for animals that you house at Sumner County Animal Control. And if you want me to read the rest of it? Okay. Intake approach would prevent many dogs and cats from entering the shelter and decreasing overcrowding. An updated and consistent intake protocol that includes basic preventative care, vaccines, dewormer, examinations, documenting weight should be done in-house. Most surrounding animal control programs do this and much more. There are many professional organizations that routinely offer help putting better policies in place. And there is and has been a serious contagious respiratory virus illness in cats at the Sumner County Animal Control Shelter. Most of these cats are not healthy enough to undergo sterilization surgery due to nasal discharge, ocular discharge, fever, dehydration, and congested lungs. Cats not yet ill who have been exposed will most likely develop symptoms after the stress of surgery. Surgery should only be performed on healthy patients. Sick animals brought in for surgery not only put other animals at risk, but stress on our staff. Recently, we have treated very sick cats that have been adopted from Sumner County Animal Control and several other surgical patients that have become sick after being exposed. Our first responsibility has to be to our patients' health, and we cannot risk infecting them with the virus that can be fatal. Every cat that enters your facility at this time will be exposed to illness. We suggest that you temporarily stop intake of cats and kittens until you get the situation under control. Please understand, we want to continue our partnership, and we want dogs and cats to be adopted. Sarah has no vendetta. Sarah wants to work with people, but you cannot just, you've got to step up and do, but again, and she told me to make sure everybody knew that too, but improvements to intake protocol, housing, medical protocol, knowledgeable staff, stress reduction, and cleaning procedures in order to have a good outcome for dogs and cats in your care. This is long past due. So, again, all she's asking for is this simple, again, weight, vaccine, history, and come with the kennel cards. If you can look in those cards, I don't know how you can say that they're doing it.
I'm gonna take the cards back to them.
And let me say this real quick too.
I want to let you continue, but I just want to say something real quick about the letter. So that letter was written 4 years ago. Lots of changes were made because of that letter. But there's clearly still an issue with the relationship. There's still a disconnect. And that's what I wanted to get to the heart of. Lots of things lots of money was spent to try to correct some of these actions, some of these problems with disease spread and things like that, ventilation systems, things like that. A lot of issues were changed because of this letter. It's not that I don't care, but I want to look, where are we today? Why is there still a disconnect? She has laid out exactly what she wants when appointments come, and I feel like the sheriff's office for animal control county, and whatever she says needs to happen, because it costs us more to go elsewhere. It just does. I don't care if the rates are the same in Kentucky. You got gas. You got time away from the facility, which which means another person needs to be there and take their place. So that relationship, we've got to figure it out. And I'm going to let you continue because I know I interrupted you and I know you're next in the queue. But I just want to say that so that the full weight of that letter wasn't just dropping tonight on the Sheriff's Department. They've done a lot of stuff to correct a lot of those issues. But please continue.
I'll just say real quick, again, Sarah just wanted me to let everybody know. I mean, she works with everyone, and she is not, she's not trying to make it more difficult on the Sheriff's Department. And even, again, this is not an attack on the Sheriff's Department. This is your job. And we're requesting that you do what is proper protocol. And, I mean, all these great things are done and all this air filter and all this, but the most basic thing is not being done, and that's your biggest problem. They're not vaccinating. They're not checking for parasites. I mean, these animals come in emaciated. I mean, I took an emaciated dog today. In 2 weeks, you won't recognize that dog. If it was at the animal control, it'd look even worse. I mean, because I just don't know. And again, they're all good people. They're kind people. I mean, I've tried to help them with stuff, and they've been kind to us. I mean, we all want a working relationship. But do your job. It's that simple. Vaccinate these animals on intake. That's where all your diseases come in. And again, Sarah, all she wants Captain McCoy to do is read this so he knows the issues, and then let him address it. And then she said, I wrote it down, don't forget. She said, and then we'll revisit. All he has to do is call her and say, hey, we'll make sure this gets done. And she'll start scheduling surgery. But you got to show up, and you got to be on time. I mean, I got to do the same thing. If I'm late,
Yeah, there's other factors. A lot of misinformation's being spoken, and I'll just tell you that, and other factors in reference to that. And I'll hold that because I've got information right here that will address some of that stuff until Ms. Donna gets through with her comment and question.
Okay, so I'm finally, I look at, in science, we look at patterns, 1, 2, 3. It's you either have a trend, it's either statistically significant, and I'm going to have to just, because problem solution, it's always problem solution. What I'm hearing, and it's very upsetting because relationships collapse for a few reasons. And you can have agreements, you can have, this is, again, protocol expectation was passed on. If the protocol expectation is not adhered to, then that fractures a relationship. It's very basic, baseline. If somebody is not showing the care to be there on time, and is 2 hours late, doesn't schedule, then there's a lack of care. And that does not allow people to start off on good foot, because there's something called a lack of respect. And it's just, this is just what it is. It's human insight mining 101. If you ask for something and you're waiting a month, and there's a month and there's no response, there's nothing that annoys me more than to have, like, as an HOA president, a property manager that's not responsive. Being not responsive jeopardizes relationships. So, there are definitely people who, I mean, I look at this dog and my heart breaks because I can see the dog is suffering, even the way his body's positioned. Because we're not seeing the animal, we're looking at papers, but this is the animal. Who is doing this? Why wasn't the work done? If the work is not routinely done, that individual does not to be in that position. It happens in every job, every company, should also be happening and applicable, more importantly, in the public sector, because we are all financially supporting what we believe in our hearts is being done. So what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, and I'm hearing tonight, is a trend. And it may, again, circle back to what is the structure, who's on first, are they capable and qualified? We may not have the right people in the right positions to do something called efficiency, effectiveness, and outcomes. And this is, again, what we're seeing, and I'm hearing, and look, Sarah's got a reputation. She has an incredible company, and that is reflective on her ability to implement protocol. And if people don't do that, then I'm sorry, we can't accommodate. And she has every right to do that, because I would be in the same fashion. you know, having my own company too. You have got to adhere to protocol. If people can't do the job, then you just need to have the right people doing the job. And again, I think that should be a red flag, and that should be examined, because now you have to have record keeping of who's touching this and that, and is this individual the one doing it, and is that a trend? Well, then that person probably does not need to be in that position. And people could be nice, they could be great people, but that doesn't matter in the scheme of things. What matters is, are you qualified? Are you capable? Are you in the right position to do so? Are you not taking care of some basic things? Because you will not have a relationship. It's not just people and personalities. It's failure to do proper protocol that has been, if a letter's 3 years old or 4 years old, and you're still having the same problems, well, there is a problem. And that should immediately be addressed and immediately examined. And even if the right individual who's supposed to be overseeing everything doesn't have the knowledge, and that person shouldn't be in that position. And if they can't even do some basic things, either they're not even scheduling, because again, the root is going to be spay and neuter and vaccines and taking care of these animals' health. It's the care of the animals should be paramount. And if that's not happening, then we have definitively to have to address that. It's going to circle back. Protocol people, work chart, who does what, are they capable, and you'll be able to fix a lot of these problems. Because I'm hearing them, it's upsetting.
Thank you. Were you in front of him or was he in front of you?
I don't know.
No, she go right here. No, she go right
My
here.
question, so we have an issue with Sarah's, the animals going to Sarah's that are ill and they're not being taken, they're not following the protocol of what she has requested. So I'm like, what are they doing in Franklin, Kentucky? Are they taking these dogs that are sick and cats that are sick and just automatically taking care of sick animals and neutering and all that? I don't know. I mean, it bothers me that on one hand you're going to Kentucky with animals and having that done, but she's saying that a lot of the animals are coming over and they're ill. So what the hell's going on? Because I don't get it. I mean, I'm trying to put a puzzle together here, because I practice on humans, and I know that if there's an issue with a practice, what I'm doing is that direct effect on someone else. So why is this picture different in Kentucky than it is in Galaxy? So that's my question: is there what's the story here? Because it sounds like she's trying to help out, but she's not getting relief from the people that need to come.
Can I help you with your puzzle? So 4 years ago, this was the story, but as of now, we're not having any animals going over there. So there is no story about the health of our animals today, other than what Heather presented to us, and we know what the health is, but the spay and neuter clinic doesn't know because they're not getting the animals.
Yeah, they are.
Are they
They're still getting animals.
They're
leaving unfixed. And that, like,
they're getting them from the adopter.
She had a husky that came in today that had been adopted 7 months ago from Animal Control and is just now getting sick. Or, the other thing, when a lot of these animals got sick, even clients, Animal Control would send them back to Sarah so that she could vet them and give them medicine. And then the other clients, not Animal Control, the regular clients, their animals were sick, so she'd have to treat them also.
I don't know if you could get back into
I'm sorry.
statement.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Thank you for clarification.
I want him to have the opportunity to address some of these things, and then if you want to rebut some of them.
No, I'm just going to say what the facts are. In reference to Blue was brought in by Hendersonville Animal Control. Blue was at the shelter for 2 days. At the time it was come in, the lady had told Hendersonville Animal Control that the dog was vicious or whatever and bitter, whatever the case may be. It didn't turn out to be that way. So Hendersonville Animal Control is probably going to be charging the owner with false reporting on that. in reference to the dog, this is the one Lieutenant Tarlake says, which is blue, does that dog not have cancer? I believe is what Lieutenant Tarlake says here. So the dog wasn't acting exactly right when it was coming in. Supposed to be aggressive and was acting a little odd. But it said it turned out it was filled with cancer. It was an owner surrender, and the owner didn't disclose any of the information to Hendersonville, or the Hendersonville officer never gave the information as far as that, reference that part of it. That part, I'm just going with what I'm told. They said, yes, she knew very well about the dog. We advised her, and they thought maybe it might be having a seizure, might have had a seizure or something. Did not know. This was probably to change the owner. They're going to charge the owner, not us, but Hendersonville. Reference to the appointments that was canceled. There was no appointment set with Sarah. Sarah called in the morning and had 4 appointments available. Calling in at 7 or whatever in the morning with 4 appointments when nothing was prior. No, you're not going to have the staff that can jump up and grab the animals and take them right over. It's not enough time. So that's the only thing that Lieutenant Tarlake said he was aware of, was that she had 4 cancellations, so she could do 4 appointments. She called that day and couldn't be done. Well, number one, some of the dogs already been fed. The animals been fed. You don't feed the dogs before you take them over for surgery, or cats, either one. So that was one of the situations, but that was the only time when he said we don't have the personnel to do it, according to Lieutenant Tarlake. In reference to that letter was 4 years ago. That letter was a direct result because I was over there running animal control of Sarah being pissed off, and I say that word like it is, because 2 of her techs volunteered to come over and help at the shelter. They came over and helped the shelter. I had 135 cats in that shelter and intake. It was only designed for 38. Okay? But we was under the protocol then that we could not refuse an animal. Can't refuse an animal. Sheriff, bless his soul, Westford, at the time that I was over there, said if a citizen of Sumner County brings an animal to animal control in, we're to take it, regardless. I was taking it. That's the reason I had 135 cats up there. That's the reason I had all kinds of overflow of the dogs and stuff. But I'm just saying that. But that's what made Sarah up, because they came over, we had these cats that we just brought in, kittens, and one had an eye messed up, and the other had a place with his face and stuff like that. They came over there, and they was assisting stuff, and they got upset about those animals. And they ran back over to Sarah's place of employment where they were, and was crying and was all upset. That's what triggered that letter right there.
No.
Yes, ma'am. 100%.
Let him have the floor.
I've got the floor, and that's first-hand information.
I apologize.
Okay? And I get very passionate about it, because I busted my butt over there for 5.5 years. I took $10,000 of my own money that I got paid and put into that place. Okay? So I cared, and I busted my butt. And I went to Sarah and met with Sarah numerous times. What can we do to improve? The staffing that was over there, because they wasn't doing their job at the time. Guess what? Every one of the girls that's in the front office got gone. You know why? Because I did the documentation and had them fired. That's the facts. Living color. I was there. I lived it day in, day out. It's the hardest job caring for the animals that you've ever seen for your life, because of some of the protocols that we were under at that particular time. Things have changed, all kinds of stuff. The shelter is getting things that I asked for 4 or 5 years ago. Okay? They're getting those things now. When I was there, they put a filtration system in the cat area to try to help with the disease, the respiratory disease. Now they got a whole $20,000, $35,000 system over there that cleans there and does all that. The protocol in cleaning kennels, like I said, they were cleaned all the time. Now I've been told that you just want to spot clean the cat kennels, unless it's really dirty. Just in there spot clean them. We was tearing everything down when I was there. I took every cage we had out, the kennels out, scrubbed the walls from top to bottom, had 2 different types of disinfectant that was used on the walls and stuff. We cleaned everything up, pressure washed everything outside, got it all disinfected, and brought it back in. We had to disinfect. It took hours to do that, but that's what we done, or that's what I tried to do.
You did a good job.
And like I said, busted a can to try to do what was right. Got rid of some staff that was not checking the cats like they're supposed to. After the 3rd time, the Sarah called me up and said, well, this cat, it's got a wheeze. I said, what do you mean it's got a wheeze? It's got a wheeze in its chest. I went directly to that person. I said, did you not listen? Because we had the stethoscope. It's real easy. Let's listen to the cat. No, I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. Well, that's the last thing that person did at the sheriff's office. Because, like I said, it's the care of the animals. So, we had a dog that was underweight, that went over to Sarah's, and he said, well, this dog is way too underweight. We had somebody who wanted to adopt the dog. So we took it over there for protocol. It was still weight, but she said, no, it's too emaciated. It doesn't weigh enough. We can't do that, okay? So we make arrangements. We had an animal that had no signs whatsoever of anything wrong with it. Their vet looked at it when we brought it over. It's an old hound dog. Sweet thing. It looked fine. Got it on the operating table, and boom, blood everywhere. Guess what? Parvo. No signs prior to. Their vet looked at it and come in, no signs. But when it was put on anesthesia, it did that, and it was parvo. Oh my gosh. The parvo's bad. Very contagious disease. Very contagious disease. Now Sarah had an operating table there that all this blood, and it turned out that the dog had parvo. News to me. Right? There's no sign. There's no prior signs. So there are, just because somebody sits down from their perspective and writes something, or somebody is viewing something from their perspective, that's not all the story. That may be some of the story, but that's not all the story. And I tell you that the guys and girls over in animal control, if I may just take a minute, Mr. Chairman, they are trained. They go to schooling. They have to pass. They get tested on this stuff, all their knowledge. They got all these books. When I was over there, Sarah wanted me to go to these conferences and stuff. I went to the conferences. I tried to do everything, but again, we were limited on what we could do at that particular time by policies or by what needed to be done. And that young lady right there, we talked to many times of things that we wanted to do but couldn't at the time because it just wasn't happening. Now a bunch of changes have been made. This is the most changes that I've ever seen at the sheriff's office as a whole in a division since I've been there 6.5 years working for animal control. Primarily because of Dr. Bisano and getting that consultant in and saying this. Some of the things that Dr. Bisano had said, Sarah had said, this young lady over here, Diana, has said on some of them before. Done little things, but no, we're vaccinating. Every animal comes in that door and gets vaccinated.
So you are 100%
100%.
right now?
100%. That came from Tarlaki. Because I specifically asked him that last week. Well, every animal that comes through that door is vaccinated.
Which is the vaccination?
In reference to the intake not working or the thing on the website,
So they're not filling it out, but they're saying they are vaccinated.
Right. This, I don't know, I've got to ask him specifically about this, okay? And I'll get an answer and have it.
Sure.
Well, I'll have the answer to you before next meeting because we're going to send these.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's supposed to be on there. Everything's supposed to be on there. So if it's not, we need to find out why, right? And just like tonight, why with this particular animal, why? If it's been there for 2 days and it was brought in by another agency on owner surrender and it bit, well, yeah, it's under quarantine. At that time, we got to keep that animal for 10 days. Before we can do something with it. But if it's showing some other signs of something's wrong with it, then somebody needs to come look at it. Okay? Somebody needs to come look at that animal. Okay? But anyway, but that's just, no matter, let's say blue was an owner surrender, we told that. The animal, they didn't have all the information from there. Yeah, well, that's just some of it right now. But again, I love Miss Sarah. I'll say that on the record. I love Miss Sarah. Does a fantastic job. history is history. A lot of things have been changed and done since then. Compared to what it was when Mike McLaren took over to where we are today, night and day. Night and day. Do we still got a long way to go? Of course. Yeah, because some of these changes, other things that's taking place, it'll be in sections as we go along. It can't be done overnight. And there's nobody right now today that can walk into that shelter right now and fix whatever they think is wrong in a month or 2 months. You know why? Because of the volume of animals and for the volume of citizens and stuff come in. This young lady Donna asked about the euthanasians, and I had got that yesterday, email, and I'll be sure about it. All right, and I even put together. Chris sent me this, which I got a copy for everyone. But I took the stuff from it and make it a little bit more legible all together. Right? He had it broke down. Looks good, but since last September when we started this meeting, we've taken 1,048 animals in to the shelter, and that's from September 23rd of 2023 until as of 9/10 of 2024 at 10 a.m. 1,048 animals has entered the shelter. 180 dogs, 162 cats, and 1 raccoon, and because the raccoon had to be euthanized. Euthanizations. We had a total of 343 euthanizations out of that 1,048. Now you look at that, and I know we had a number earlier that was said 50 to 70%. That's 32.66% euthanasia rate. Okay, we're not at 50 and 60 and 70 anymore. And if you take a look, and I did supply to this body before, from 2010 until 2022, each year you show the euthanizations have dropped. The reason for that is for the work of the people over there. Well, Miss Sarah, when she was with us up to 2018, her ability to turn the animals and get them fixed and neutered helps in that total also, because you got less animals coming in the shelter, so you got less animals that have to be euthanized and stuff because the numbers are down. When we first took over Animal Control way back in 2008, 2009, 4,400 animals was coming into the shelter a year. And they was in that facility over there behind Public Works in a trailer and had a brick old block place out back with no air conditioning, no heat or anything else. 4,400 animals. So we're down, I average about 25 when I was there, and so with this, you know, we're down to 1,048. Of course, we've had COVID and we had a bunch of other stuff, you know, come through that will affect the totals. But this is from 23 to 24. We're not all the way through September, so those numbers will go up slightly. Because again, this is just till 9/10. But that's where it is. And I promise you, there's not one employee, and the sheriff included, that don't want things to be exactly where they're supposed to be.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. I'll do my own cue, and then you're next.
I do.
And then I may touch on some of the things that you're going to say, so.
I just have to say, I have to leave at 7.
No, I understand, and I need to assume that. We're going to try to draw this to a close, but I appreciate your perspective. There's two sides to every story. Clearly, that was a long time ago, and a lot of things have been changed, and there's like I said, there's two sides to every story. With that being said, Sarah's not coming knocking on our door saying I need business. I'm gonna go out of business if I don't get some business. She doesn't need Sumner County. She doesn't need us. We clearly need her. I see there's a disconnect. You told me y'all side of the story. She said her side of the story. What do we need to do to fix it? Because do we need a third-party mediator? Because you said your piece, which sounds very reasonable, and I don't know why she didn't get it. She says her piece, and it sounds very reasonable. I don't know why you guys don't get it. There's got to be something to work out between you guys, because Kentucky is not an option. That is an emergency option. That is not standard. We can't do that.
You're correct.
Because that's the key to getting all this done right. Very encouraged to hear it during that, that there's 100% vaccination now, because that is another milestone that we should have mentioned earlier with big games. That is one of two of the major ones. 100% spay and neuter and 100% vaccines, two huge ones. But I would like another request, please, to take to Sheriff Craddock and to Captain McCoy, is to reach out to her this week, get something on the books, a date, and if Sheriff Craddock, or if you're more knowledgeable about it, or whoever's the most knowledgeable about it, understands whether it's a personality thing or whatever, what the issue is, and y'all need help with a third-party mediator, let us know, because I'm sure there's members here, or there's members closer to Sarah, friends of hers or whatever, that would mediate and try to figure out where this impasse is. Because going on, what you said, 6 years now since she's been a solid partner, 18 was when it was solid, but it's kind of been sparse between there with little startups and drop-offs. It's not acceptable.
But see, I
there's got to be a clear thing.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think we're about this far away of getting a resolution.
Well,
I really do.
From what she said to what Captain McCoy said, seemed like two totally opposite statements made as the reasons why they haven't had that meeting yet. If there's some back channel things going on that aren't official yet, that's encouraging to know if that's really happening. But if you guys could give us the status of that also this week, and then reach out to where, if we need to get involved, if, like I said, one of us needs to sit down with you guys, I'm sure there's willing people, and maybe we can have that meeting take place between now and next month's meeting, and next month can be a statement of celebration that the relationship's
Well, I'll tell you right now, what I will do personally, and I don't have a dog in the hunt other than I'm representing the sheriff's office, animal control's not preview anymore, but I will personally go over this week and see if I can meet with Sarah and see if we can get something ironed out.
Well, Captain McCoy needs to be
will.
involved
He
in
will.
some way, because he's going to have to maintain it.
Right, but I just want to talk to her, and she tell me what she needs, and then we'll get the meeting set.
Okay.
And we'll see if we can't get what needs to be done.
Captain McCoy, Lieutenant Tarnike,
That's
Sheriff Craddock, and you.
That's triangulation.
Yeah.
He was already reaching out to her. She's supposed to be reaching out to him. Then you put another one, another triangle. You'll never get anywhere. You'll just be dinging like this.
Well, I'm just talking about going over and
He's
talking.
going to set the meeting time.
I'm just going over there to talk to her. Have a friendly business.
And if you carry it back to Lieutenant, if you carry it back to Captain McCoy, I would just like to know that it's on the book.
Yeah, my understanding,
Because I want.
straight from Captain McCoy, he was just waiting on the date for them to meet.
And she's waiting on him to read the letter and him
Yeah,
to reach
yeah.
out and say, I read the
And he
letter.
has read the letter.
So I haven't reached back out yet. That's,
Well, that's the thing. My understanding from him, he reached out and wanted to do it. He was waiting on her to call back.
if you could clarify that.
That's what I wanted.
And go back to your people and just email us in the update where that meeting is going to happen at, and if we can participate or get involved in some way, we want to help.
And I'm going to reach out also and say to the citizens, if you know something's going on, right, you have information and you don't believe it's right, please send something to the sheriff's office. If you hear that Blue or Spanky was adopted or obtained from the sheriff's office, and it had a broke leg or it had something like that, and it didn't appear to have vet care, send that to the sheriff's office. Because Craddock said he will make sure every complaint or every situation like that gets investigated.
Okay. Thank you. I know you're in the queue. Go ahead.
I'll be real quick, everybody wants to go home. I'll tell you, Joe, when you were there, it was the cleanest that it's ever been. But why did you break out with Barbara? Because when you and I had talked, the sheriff would not give you money for vaccines. Vaccines is the whole core, let me finish.
Exactly.
Again,
I
part of,
couldn't get the shots, you're correct.
correct.
Yes,
It was super clean, it doesn't matter how clean, if you don't vaccinate.
Yes, ma'am.
So, again, I don't know how you're saying you're vaccinating 100% when these two animals weren't, and again, that's one of the things that Sarah wants. And let me just make it real clear. Sarah's tired of talking, and she was very clear. Captain McCoy was supposed to call her back, so if he would call her, you don't need to even go talk to her. If he would just call her and say, hey, when can we meet? So they can discuss this letter. If he needs a copy of it, I can get you a copy. So they can discuss the letter and what needs to be done, and it's so simple. She just wants healthy animals to come, vaccinated, wait, and again, things like that can happen. Part of it, that can happen, you know, but again, somebody needs to reach out to her, and if you think, you know, it's that much of an issue, then just don't use it. I mean, just try to abide by the simple things she's asked. That's it.
This could be a policy issue that they're not filling this out,
We
even
need to
though they
find out.
are 100% vaccinated.
Yes.
Please just find out about this.
We need to find out.
And I don't care if you go see Sarah, or if you tell Captain McCoy to follow through with making the appointment. Just please inform us of that that's happening this week or whatever. Even if he contacts her and says the meeting's on for next week, just, I want him to at least contact her this week.
I'll send you an email out too, and let y'all know. Yeah, we'll take care of that
Did Sheriff
anyway.
Craddock come?
Okay.
Can we have
And
either one?
Lieutenant
Please
Darling?
extend the invite
I will
to
extend it again.
Lieutenant Carnacki, Captain McCoy, and or Sheriff Craddock.
I mean, this is all about them.
Any of them are welcome to come to this, and hopefully it'll be a more time of celebration that we've gotten even more things accomplished. That
Yes,
means,
and also,
that'd be great.
I think all the feral cages that we used to have, they're gone, right? They're stainless steel ones, they're gone, they're not even in the building anymore. It's a recommendation of Dr. Johnson. So there's a lot of things that are being done, and what we'll do, we'll try to take that sheet, that checkoff sheet, and check off down through there, just show this is done, this is done, this is done, this has not been done, and maybe why.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay,
I'll get it done.
so last thing I'm gonna say is the next meeting for this will be October 8th. That's the second Tuesday of the month. Same time, 5:30, right here. And so I'd encourage people to stay aware. Did you have something to say at the end? I'm not gonna close it out, so go ahead.
Just one quick thing.
Okay, if
In reference to, they said an animal escaped from animal control. That animal escaped from the officer, not Sumner County, Gallatin officer, who had that responsibility, and it escaped to him at animal control.
On his way to.
Right, it came to the shelter, and as he was,
Don't touch with anybody.
as he was doing that, it escaped. So I can tell you, that's on Gallatin, 100%.
But how do you get in touch with somebody at the sheriff's department?
I'm sorry?
How would you get in touch with somebody at the sheriff's department? You know, like,
For what?
it happened Saturday, how would you get in touch with them Sunday, Monday?
You call regular, the sheriff's line, and get with the patrol officers on it.
Was that animal found? Update?
They found it.
They did find it,
The
yeah.
owner found it, or the?
Oh,
Well, I don't know, but,
it was on the.
Lieutenant Carlack told me, he told that officer that that's your responsibility, what you just done there, it's your responsibility.
It got posted on the law without.
Did it get back to the owner? That's the happy ending we need to hear.
Yes.
Did you guys have something to say in the meeting?
Anyway,
No? Good? Okay. There's one more motion.
A motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'm not gonna ask for opposed. Let's go.